that happy note, we are live from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I have a confession to make. I have no heat. I have no hot water. I'm a poor little lamb who's gone astray. I'm living in the midst of Cambridge, Massachusetts, home of Harvard, which is right across the street. We have Supreme Court justices. We have presidents of the United States, Mr. Obama from Harvard, but we have no heat. And I'm wearing one of my medieval garbs because I figured if these things get people warm in the 12th century, they'll do for me. So I may be forced to disappear if it's a cold field because I have a very strong space heater where when this happens, it happens 3 or 4 times every winter and always on the coldest days. You figure that one out. There's a furnace gremlin living in my building. Anyway, aside from the fact that I'm miserable, I want to welcome you to Anything Goes today. This is a program where anything goes. Apparently, also your heat goes. So be prepared. I am here with Richard Moyer, our newest monitor. I call him Moyer because that's so charming. Such a charming word. He's going to give us some down-home thoughts about what are you shooting yourself in the feet for every day? Why are you doing these things that you do? Well, we're going to find out. Richard knows the answers to everything. He's going to clue us into that, and I'm going to help him out. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Lant. For over 20 years now, I have been without heat on this very day, and also CEO and co-founder of Worldprofit, where we have nothing but heat, thanks to George Kosh, a red-hot rocketeer who designs all the technology. Sandy Hunter, who visited us yesterday, and she usually doesn't do that, but she came down and from on high, where she solves the problems of the world. It's soothing to see Sandy. She's the most soothing person. In her early days as a young woman, she was a social worker, and she dealt with the infant fetal alcohol syndrome in Western Canada among the babies, and that's God's work with everything. So she's calm. I am calm too, but in a different way. I just think everything is going to hell in a handbasket and makes me feel good. That keeps me calm. Richard, what keeps you calm?
I'm mellowed a lot since I retired, although my wife won't admit to that. But I used to be, a corporate type and on call all the time, and it was very strenuous, frustrating at times. But I loved what I did. And since I'm retired, I kind of take things a little easier. I don't get as upset about them as I used to. Figured, if I don't get it done today, I'll get it done tomorrow.
I have to tell you a Richard Moyer story. The other day, I was up here with Mark Anderson, who is, I love Mark Anderson. I love Paul Anderson. I love Katie. I've known Katie since birth. And she looked to be about 10 when I saw her the other day. And so we were kibitzing back and forth. Then, unfortunately, Mark's father is deceased, and I love his parents. And this is the way we are at Worldprofit. Sooner or later, their parents showed up on the screen and all that sort of thing. And Richard said the equivalent of this phrase: Grampy, Mark needs to do his homework. You have to go ahead now. But I thought, what? When did the generation slip? So I want you to know that we all found that curious statement extremely odd, but very funny and sure to be in a book.
That wasn't me.
It was you.
No, I was muted at that time because the two of you were on the screen. I offered to take over because...
No, you typed in the message. It was on. It was not said. It was typed.
I offered to take over because I looked at the schedule and I didn't realize the schedule was Central Time. So I figured he was there for the second hour and I would take the rest of his hour for him to give him a break. And or he was there for a couple hours, actually.
It's all right. It's all right. This is how I get my material. I just sit there and go, write it down. Going to the next one.
Duly noted. Our schedule is in Central Time, so...
I duly noted that I am nobody's grandfather as far as I know, and I'm likely to remain thus ungrandfatherly. So we want to speak to Sumit, who's been here before, and we have 118 people. First of all, people... that's not a big break in here already. I'm gone now. First of all, I want everyone to realize that we have been around here for 22 years. We have seen absolutely everything. We have been all the way we have a new slant for this year, and that is the slant, what I call the slant or the tilt to the east. And there it is right now. Woo! It's the Prime Minister of India. I want Richard to click on the send D7 key. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what this is all about. I am a cultural historian. I'm also an imperial historian from Harvard, which was variously disapproved by my classmates who were socialists and communists. And what the hell was I using Rajas and princes and imperialism? I was a throwback from an earlier age. So they was totally. And when I ran for president of the history club at Harvard, I was crushed by a communist. That was the last time that ever happened. I vowed that they would all go into the Cuisinart after that. I was never going to be crushed by a communist ever again, especially when it didn't wash. Unwashed communists is by far the worst variety. Anyway, if you study Western civilization, as I have for 50 years, you understand that one of the most important aspects of our civilization is the thrust to the east. Columbus was under the spell, the Vasco da Gama. Every person that wanted to go to the West Indies was actually going to the East Indies, but got off track because there was no room. The whole Marco Polo, one of the great stories of Western civilization. These people were all looking for the East. Why? For the money. They all wanted what the East had, which was civilization, long before we had any civilization in North America. I'm sorry to say this to all these people who are out there in the Chamber of Commerce of Wichita, Kansas, but it was the civilization was in the East. And when they say that, they're absolutely right. It frustrates me too, but I say, oh, that's almost interesting, anyway, we are now part of that great tradition at Worldprofit. We are tilting towards the East. We want everyone to know that, and we posted this message. Why don't you read the message? Read this message, like a proclamation that came down from July 4th.
Hey. Worldprofit is running a special outreach for all internet marketers from Asia, the Far and Middle Eastern countries. Also, for all internet marketers from the former Soviet bloc nations, South America and China. Worldprofit gives you a very special welcome. You want profit on the internet, we can help. To begin, you will require a $99 US dollars payment. If you don't have it, please advise the monitor at once. We may be able to assist. After arranging the necessary funds, we're going to ask you to click the green button below your screen and that says Watch Video. And it's a 7-minute video. I need you to watch it carefully. And then you'll let the monitor on duty know when you finished. And that way, when you follow these directions, we're going to, our traffic is pretty heavy, so we're going to try to get back to you as soon as we can and bring you on board here. We're going to rely on cooperation and good manners, and we'll remove you from the room without them. Send me need to. You're going to remove me from having trouble with it?
We'll discuss that.
When you click on the video, we want you to press the pause button for 1 minute. And that's if you're having difficulty, because what happens is you're going to let the video load completely, and then when you press the play button, it'll just go pick up right where it belongs. So you can view that video at YouTube also if you use the link below, and then you return here for the announcement, and that's going to be a tremendous announcement. Doctor, back to you.
All right, so what do you think about this? Do you think that I'm right in my surmise? One of the great questions of our civilization from the beginning has been, how do we get to Beijing? I think you can call Beijing University, but that's the point. Everyone understood the East was in literacy, in commerce, in science, in fashion, in playthings of royalty. In Xanadu did Kublai Khan a stately pleasure dome decree. We wanted that pleasure dome. We knew that he had it. We wanted it for ourselves. So I'm participating in one of the great questions. How do we get to the riches? And these people in Asia, and of course, most people have never seen here. My whole life, first of all, the Ottoman Empire, and I went to Turkey, and then I went to Persia in the waning days of the Shah. I've gone where the great stories of civilization have been. And I always said, oh, God, I want my own. Alexander had it, conquered the world by the time he was 30. What's wrong with you, Lant? What's wrong with you is you have no heat, no hot water. That's what's wrong. So, Richard, what do you think about that tilt? Am I right? Have we had civilization? Israelite people always wanted to go to get to the east. Like, what do you think the three wise men were doing in Bethlehem? And
I think they were very rich in things like spices, which were necessary here, and tea. So they had a very important trade that we tried to tap into very early. And I think likewise now their industry has grown unbelievably, and it's time to start looking that way. See if the economy has picked up. See if maybe we can tap some of the opportunity that's there.
Well, let me tell you what that opportunity is. And again, George Kosh would know about this program. Now George is going to be the prophet for the East. He's going to be the king of the Levant. This is what they call it. Here's what advantages that we have and where we're tapping in. There is an old expression, find a need or fill it. And in the East, the governments need the internet services. Have we noticed what happened in North Korea just the other day when they got out of their crib? We've shut their internet services down and the whole damn country collapsed. If that wasn't a glaring indication of the power of the net, I don't know what was. Here we've got this pint-sized nuclear nut house run by a man who may be a doll, maybe stuff. He kind of looks like Raggedy Andy. And we shut them down. And it was probably done by some kids. They probably, the head of the, you know how to shut down the internet? Sure. Beep, 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 beep. And it was shut down. It was probably done by kids. What I'm saying to you is this. We live in an age now where the internet is not just a nice development. It is the core reality of our times. How does that impact on us? Very clearly. The people in these countries, and I can read them off a little bit, and I want to thank Lant Sumner who gave me a seated globe for Christmas. And it moves. And now all the countries that I can no longer remember, Balochistan, Uzbekistan, and so all those countries, they need us. They don't have the time, the trouble, the skills, the inclination. Well, maybe the inclination, and certainly the desire they have to play and be a player on the internet, but they don't know how to do it. George Kosh knows how to organize all these countries. And I'm going to help in the sense that I'm going to provide the mise en scène, the scene for all of this, to explain to people why are we doing this? Because the East is full of people who are smart, they're educated, and guess what? Most of them speak English if they are going to have a career on the internet. They knew that. English is what is called lingua franca, which is a little ironic. Lingua franca is French. There's no English for that expression. It means it is the language which is the commonplace language of basically intellectual people, go-ahead people, all over the world. Boy, I thank you, Mommy and Daddy, for making me be born in Illinois. Oh, it saved me a lot of grief here when I got to be 50. Well, what do you think about that? We are in a position now to essentially become the core educator for hordes of Asia. That phrase is not invented by me. That was the phrase that our grandparents used when they thought, "My God, the yellow peril is going to overwhelm Elmhurst, Illinois." It was one of the leading ideas of the 19th century. That Asia was going to crush Europe, and in some ways, they did. We are going to take a leaf out of their book. We're going to train people. Now, they're going to be difficult because they've never been part of our culture and universe. They have their own mores and what have you. We're all going to have to be a little patient. They are the future of the world, and there are millions of them. Richard, how did you feel when you read that message and thought, "My God, we're going to go into Asia"? Yes, just like Christopher da Gama, Herman Magellan, and all the great explorers. We're going to be there. What do you think about that?
Well, we let the gold standard slip a little more, and we might be. We're going to default on our own that they own.
Well, yes, I think we all must understand that the Chinese do own everything. They probably are the reason I don't have heat today. They probably looked at some sheet and said, "Oh, the heat is sheet is over 6. Tell them off." I'm thrilled. Does anyone want to post any comments about this? And to those of you that are the 101 people looking down at us from the gallery, read this message that we posted. Special outreach. His special outreach is indeed special, and his outreach will continue. Once this is started, and I've written about the advent of China in Africa, when the imperial powers had less left, the Chinese, who are a great imperial power, came in, and they did it much more cleverly than we did. And it pained me to write that series of articles about how clever they were. I think it was, why are we this clever? Perhaps in some ways we are. So, Richard, what would you say to the people that are up there in the rafters looking down at us, who are on that list of countries, whether it be Brazil or whether it be Uzbekistan? What would you say to them about what we can do for them?
Well, the one thing for sure is because they're still in their infancy with as far as maturity on internet, they probably have access but have not been able to exploit it the way they like. So we've been making mistakes like this for 20 years, and we've learned from those mistakes. So what we can bring to them is some of the wisdom and experience that we've gained through making the mistakes as we have. And it's a constantly changing environment anyway. But we could actually share that with them. They could have the advantage of the technology that we've brought forth here, and like a genius like George has created for us that just makes it so easy. So, it absolutely is a real good thing because they're getting the advantage of the research and development we've done for 20 years.
And we're getting the following advantages. One, they love work. They're not slothful. And we all have had the struggle and the conversation about where did manners go? Where did the waltz go? Where did the waltz king go? Well, what they went, they became obsolete, and we lost our cultural bearings some time ago. When you talk to one of the students from Pakistan or India or even nationalist China and Formosa, these people come with veneration and respect for the teacher. And as a teacher myself, and I know how many teachers we have in here, George Koch being one of the great teachers, we teachers need respect. We can't run a concentration camp. We're not there to put them in closets. We're there to help them move ahead from point A to point B. And I say this, I'm told, 45 years I've been in the classroom one way and another. Richard, maybe I should make an invitation. Okay, Grappy, go to bed. It's disturbing to walk into a classroom of American students, and I'm not just talking about kids, I'm talking about adult students, adult education, where there's slovenliness and disrespect and noise and complete selfishness on the order of the day. Anybody want to say anything about that? Have I thrown a stink bomb? I so firmly believe this. I've seen this over the course of half a century. And if I sound like an old goat in an anachronism, tough! We were better educators then than we are now. We did more good then than we did now. Make them that way. What do you think about that, Richard? That's a stink bomb thrown in. It's anything goes, after all.
I agree that there was clearly a lack of respect in the classroom. When I taught, it was adults that they were actually, executives that I taught classes for. So I didn't have that. They were children of their own right. But, I had a lot less to deal with. But my daughter-in-law she teaches high school, and the majority of her classes are AP courses. And those people want to learn. Those children, not children, they're juniors and seniors in high school. They want to learn. They're anxious. They can't get enough. They can't go fast enough. Whereas she has a couple classes that are not AP that she has the attitude she has to deal with there. And I think if they don't have the respect for the classroom and the knowledge, and they don't have if they don't understand how important their education is, there's a lot to be said that came from the parents also. And I see that in the intersections too.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? My guiltometer absolves no one. Child, parent, superintendents of schools, teachers, the president, the secretary of education. I am an equal opportunity flinger. All these will bear responsibility. But here's the thing. Now, this is not universally true. One of you pointed out to me, so one of those Arabs that you love so much said swear words at me. Excuse me, if I'm going to be held responsible for every swear word that emanates from Mecca, I have good words for you folks. I will do nothing else. I have not said that they are perfect. I have said that in certain key areas, they eclipse us. For one thing, and I'm sure you can find me any number of disrespectful Syrians, or a couple of outrageous Turks, or somebody from Fierro del Fuego who, oh my God, did something evil in the classroom. I'm sure you can find me these people by the horde. That doesn't negate my point. My point is this. They're better to work with in terms of education. They will follow directions. Here's the key. You've got to tell them that. You've got to make it very clear. Remember, it's the hordes of Asia, the yellow peril. They'll get you if you don't. Tell them exactly what to do. This message that we posted yesterday was in direct response to comments made by two monitors. And in case monitors don't remember, I heard this problem and I acted within a matter of minutes. So don't ever say that I was an old fellow. Or if you say I'm an old fellow, I'm an old fellow with a swift mouth. Because I understood the problem. You're going to find people who do not know necessarily how to behave, but they are all people of manners and minor education. And they're coming to us because we will represent their best interests. And if we have 4 billion Arabs, well, George will figure it out. George and I will go down to one of those stores and one of those fast food restaurants in Edmonton, and we'll munch it over whatever, somebody's crispy chicken, and we'll solve the problem. I want Worldprofit to focus, not exclusively, certainly not exclusively, because we never give up anything. We extend, we do not give up. I want a person in Lebanon to say, Worldprofit? Yes, pro us. Pro entrepreneurs. I'm stand on the platform next to any internet marketer, any technician, any technology person, anywhere in the world. You'll find me there. Just like in terms of human rights policies, with Malala Yousafzai, who won the Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Peace Prize this year. She's from Pakistan. We have to think that's what we're going to do. If you think your world ends, it starts in Edmonton, you've got no chance. You're fried. You're dead. I want to take a due percentage of money from everyone all over the world. Rather have a cent from 100 million people than 100 million cents from one person. So there, Richard, what do you make of that? In short, you see the word capitalism and imperialism right here from Canada and filtered through Cambridge, and isn't that appropriate? I mean, every great idea comes from Cambridge, we know that. And I must say, by the way, before I forget, I want to take this opportunity to invite all the monitors to visit me. A standing invitation, I reiterated it at the beginning of the year. Come to Cambridge and see your future. It's here. And you'll come to me, and you'll see how I live, and you'll see how all my helpers live here in Cambridge, and the amazingly efficient world we've put together out of a whole bunch of anachronistic things that we love. And we have not jettisoned anything that we love. We've put it all in. Oh my God, that's exactly what we do. Come to Cambridge and see your future. And Lance Sumner, for example, brought his children. And I'll tell you a story before we move on about that. Lance is a very busy man. He's a single parent for traveling, as we know, and his children are adorable. We love them. God damn, they're a bundle of energy. Those kids. I was scared to death when they came to visit me. Lance told me after he came to me, and I take the monitors out to dinner to a very nice place, which I can walk to the Sheridan Commander Hotel, which is down the street. And Lance told me afterwards that evening, he said, I don't know what it is, you're sort of a magician. He said, this is the first time I talked to my children as adults. Whoa! And that was a very meaningful statement indeed, because we all hope that we'll have children who will talk to us, don't we? You want to comment on that? Because you have those boys that you comment on, those dogs.
Oh, I have dogs, but one of the nice things I like now is my children are all adults. My daughter, my baby is in grad school, and I love it when they all come home. And it's something. I guess it's something to be said for how we, as parents, handle things, because I look at some of my daughter's friends, and they don't like their parents. They don't want anything to do with them. They don't want to come home. They don't want to talk to them. My wife and my daughter are like the Gilmore Girls. They're inseparable. Best enemies, worst friends.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And my son, he's a first year resident, and he's got these, ungodly schedules that he works, and he still manages to find a few hours to come over and visit with us. So, my other son is here all the time. He comes over every day. Up until recently, we were babysitting his dog all the time. But they come home. They come home, and my wife and I keep talking about downsizing. And I look around and say, wait a minute, I like all the stuff we have here, and I have enough room that everybody that wants to come over can sleep over if they want, or they come here because there's the room, and they just know they're welcome. So that thought about moving to a 55 and older community is probably not going to go too far.
Well, I'm glad we're able to take on your personal problems here. What we do is, see, folks, we cover the waterfront and anything goes every day. Now, I want to talk to Nana Quas Asante. Just Nana, who doesn't hear us, of course. Anyway, the point of the exercise is that more and more we must make Asia our friend. I aim to do that. I aim to be the avatar for a way of fusing technology, politics, international relationships, and understanding. For God's sakes, that word really nice too. And if somebody is going to, and I know, I'm probably croaking right here. Excuse me, give me the Cambridge Health Department. I'm a base feature. You be on net, saying something about the involvement of meshing Asia with the West and so on, Worldprofit, and someone's going to say, that has nothing to do with anything. Why is that old man on the screen talking about Asia? Whereupon the old man will take the machete out of his desk drawer and leave that person minus a few fingers. We are going to have to understand that there are people in the world who blab, blurt, yelp, and say whatever comes into their mind without any fissure of intelligence, and it doesn't bother me. That's the way it is. Every great idea in the history of the world was scoffed at by morons. Oh, so if I'm not scoffed at by morons, I'll feel deprived. I demand that more morons scoff at me so that I can get up there. How many people do you think scoffed at every religious leader? How many do you think scoffed at Buddha? How many at Mahatma Gandhi? How many at Martin Luther King? Well, you can guess. So now we're going to carry on. Richard, we are halfway through today's program, and we are talking about Worldprofit in the year 2015. We're going to talk about mistakes you will make. First mistake, you will think about your business as its most provincial aspect. It is, hi, I run an internet business in Kansas City. Kansas City is not just a geographical blip on the international horizon. You want to speak to that? We've got to think globally. Global is it. And you know one of the early global thinkers in technology? Kosh was there. He is the guy who understood that you had to think globally. And I like to think that we had a little something to do with that. Because he was a pilot, as you know, just out to talk to people, including himself, how to fly these magnificent aircraft. And he flew high, he saw wide, and he said, and he struggled to figure out, how am I going to do that? How did you do that? You see how he did it. He did it by explaining to the world how these things work. Of course, then the world turns around and says, excuse me, do you have that with peanut butter? I mean, it just makes you weird. What do you want to say about what I've just been talking about? George Kosh, for example, in his amazing international planetary view of things.
I think George is he's got a lot of vision. He understands business. He understands what he wants to accomplish, and he goes for it. So I have a lot. I have a lot of respect for George, both as a technical person and also as a visionary.
You know, he said something to me 20 years ago, and you know I'm the worst person to say things to because I remember them. That's right. I remember what zip code he had too. He said, I said, George, where are we going with this concept? It was the very earliest stage. You can hardly imagine how primitive it was. Nothing that you see on the screen right now, with the exception of me, existed on the internet 20 years ago. It didn't exist in any way, shape, or form. George was one of the inventors. George saw a space and said, in that space, this kind of a thing goes. It's been amazingly on target. In fact, I say he is not on the cutting edge. He is the cutting edge. Anyway, George has been on the cutting edge here for 12 years. And I said, where are we going with this thing? He said, I'll tell you. I will aim to be the single person in the single room with a single button who controls the world. And I laughed, of course. This is clever. I'm okay, but we are clever. This is a little clever. And he's doing it. This is it. Now, I don't know whether he even remembers the comment, but I do. And I thought, well, that is a breathtaking objective if ever I heard one. That's my kind of work. I love objectives like that. Big, big, big. You remember that day? I remember that day like it was yesterday. Because I like visionaries. I'm a visionary. George is a visionary. Sandy Hunter, Verster Richard, who is not escorting me to, grab my heaven, is a visionary. And and every monitor, to a greater or lesser extent, is a visionary. You wouldn't be associated with us if you weren't. The pre-up problem with people who come in here and look and sniff, they're visionaries. They are not visionaries. They don't look towards a better world. They look towards getting through today. Maybe tomorrow. That's as far as their extent. Richard Moyer, for example, he thinks about what the world is going to be like in 20 years. I have to think. I had a corporation that's going to be there. Don't you want to know? You should say, Dr. Lant, what are your thoughts? Well, they're this. I'm going to do everything to keep alive. The FSAS in the French Revolution became one of the directors of France. And when people asked him, FSAS, what did you do during the revolution? He said, I lived. That's what I'm going to say, too, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. What did you do, Dr. Lant? Well, I lived. I took our little boat and piloted through turbulent seas. And that is my claim to fame. We want to speak to this. We have to continually look at where this technology, and this technology is not logical. It is completely uncaring. It is run by kids. 4-year-olds know more about it than we do. This is the first generation in the history of the world where the kids control the money. Kids do. Kids who have $100 million or more, and they look like they have 5 cents. When you come to Cambridge, don't scoff at any children who look scruffy. They own you. Lock, stock, and barrel. They're worth millions of dollars. They own you. I'm very respectful to know. I say, excuse me, who manages your trust fund, little girl? Then I can pretty much deal with her. Think about that. Did you think that this is the first time in human history where kids run things? They determine the ideas. They determine the style. They determine everything.
I can just, I can't believe how technology they are. And I was, a pretty good authority on IT technology for quite a while. And yet I had to have my son teach me how to use my smartphone. So I guess that's a statement for...
Let me tell you something. Whole countries have lost the race. And I'm not talking about countries like Church and some of the former Soviet bloc. I'm talking about England. I'm talking about France. I'm talking about Italy. Whole countries that we respected were not on the cutting edge. Where were they when the computer? Where were they when the computer? They were having tea at Helen's and dining out at Simpsons on the Strand. They're living in the past, which I love them for, and all you Brits out there living in the past, that's what's love, for the past. But I have a foot in both camps. I am that anachronism, but I'm also the head of a company that's changing the world. Pull that one up, people. Now, we're going to go back to our people in the night here, the 120 people. Richard, I'm going to throw it out to you. What will the next thing be that these people will, to a person, will miss? They will not do, they will not derive the benefits. What? Name me one of the many we're going to cover in the next few days. The elements they will muff.
In their haste to move ahead and think that they're making profits, they're going to do all the foolish things that all of us have done, all along. But most importantly, they're going to ignore the quality training they have here that is tried and true and absolutely the way that they should be going, and they just won't listen to it. And we hear and see this every day.
Let me tell you what the next big international story is. You heard it here first, folks. Just like I told you about the tilt to the east long before anybody was talking about it. This is the situation that enslaves me. The people coming onto the internet will buy all the hoopla from scamsters and spamsters and criminals that we have lived through to our detriment, despite the fact that all this knowledge is now public. They're going to make all the mistakes. In other words, the first slash of internet entrepreneurs in the East are going to invest in garbage. And they're going to say, like Linda Elsie says, I invested $13,000 and I never made a penny. Yep, they're going to go through that. Every single one of them. It's happening now in relationship to Brazil. The telecom free scandal, where the people had set up this bogus telephone company for people in Santo Domingo and Brazil to start with. We're at the top, worth nearly $2 billion. $2 billion worth of fraud, Richard. We'll buy you a lot. We have to understand that we're going to go through these terrible scandals, terrible misjudgments, and people are going to do what we all did. They're going to fall back and go, oh, I don't know, now I'm scared. Yeah, you should be scared because you don't read anything, you don't listen to anyone, you don't do anything sensible. You look for something cheap, you got something cheap, and then you got ripped off. Guess what, people? That's what happens. Thieves do that. Richard, comment?
I think it's very much like a small child. You tell the child, don't put your hand near the burner. Don't put your hand near the burner. It's going to do it anyway. That's how it's going to learn. So maybe they do need to experience a little frustration and some of that pain we've been through in order to recognize that there is a solution out there you might want to respect and map to.
Well, imagine $2 billion out of this Santo Domingo economy. Then you have nothing. They started off in their economic vault. They had 16 carrots, 2 goats, and 1 old pinochle chip. That was it. That was the total standard of living in the Treasury Department of Santo Domingo. And now the people of that country have coughed up almost $2 billion to be rooked by a bunch of in Connecticut. So it is the skill of our time. I love every little nuance of it because people are so damn dumb. If you say to them, you know what, if you're going to work, you'll make money. Oh, God, work? I've heard that my whole life. How about this one? You don't have to list the precious thing. We'll do everything. Oh, here's $100. That's where the money's going to go initially. And that's going to take a while to sort through. Next. And by the way, anyone who has a question, please jump in. We may ignore it. We may ridicule it. We may think it's the stupidest question ever. But put it funny. I am one of those educators who believes there is no such thing, Richard, as a dumb question. There is who. I've seen it by the score. Thousands of them. And I've seen the dumb answers, too. And the dumb practitioners. Let's not go there. We're on a roll here. Do you want to say other things that these people will not do? They will not study. They'll do it, a little bit, catch as catch can. They will think that the internet has freed them, has liberated them from accuracy, from study. Au contraire. So I am predicting that the people who are coming in here from all these different countries, they are not going to do any homework, George. They're not going to read the lesson document. They're not going to read your books. Well, I compensated for that. And I'm going to tell you a story. A few years ago, a woman bought one of my books. She called me up and she was in the lab. She said, Dr. Lant, your books are way too long. And I said, well, madam, let me ask a question. Did you pay for my book with good Yankee person? Oh, yes, I did. And then here's what you do. You take the book, you sit down at the kitchen table, and you rip out every other page. And then you're happy and I'm happy. The wait list broke down. People call you to tell you that what you do. Go to bookstores worldwide and say, well, just rip out that signature, is what we call it. So many pages, constant signature. Just because a person can read doesn't mean that they read anything worthwhile. But one of the things that's going to happen is we're going to have a generation of people who will not do their homework and are going to make every mistake because they made that first mistake, which is to say, I don't need that. Yes, George Kosh is a genius and all that, but really, he's asking me to do homework and things like that. Oh my God Almighty! I'm 67 years old. Another thing, while we're at it, old folks who have a chip on their shoulder the size of Milwaukee are going to have more chips on their shoulder. First of all, no one cared about them to begin with, and now since they don't able to control the money, we don't care about them for another reason. So if you're over 65, you better make a real effort to get on the technology hotline because you're already in the dustbin. Now, I wanted to say something personal. I'm going to be 68 next month. Oh, yes, and by the way, presents will be accepted. The more lavish, the better. Go on. Spend, spend, spend. I'm going to be 68, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to go down easily. I'm not going to become obsolescent, and I'm not going to let the whippersnapper just scare me. When I see some of those 6-year-olds, when Mr. Smith from Aylesford, Nova Scotia, brings his ultra-smart grandchildren, I get scared. I go, oh, my God, what are they going to do with me? They're going to send me to the knackers. That's where they send ponies that are going to be made into dog food. We are coming towards the end of Anything Goes today, and we have covered a lot of Richard. Do you think? We're not the ultra-smart gym bunnies.
I hope you wrote it all down because if we're going to solve the problems of the world, somebody's got to document it.
Why? What do I do? It's my stock and trade to tell people how to live their lives for the best possible reasons. Now we have Dusika, who has joined us. Dusika, I'm going to post. No, I'm not going to post. Richard's going to do it. Richard's going to post the new button. Send. What is it? It was
D7.
D7. Now, Dusika, we want you to read this. And here is Vika. We want you to read this. And here's the thing. And I implore the people in the world to consider this. If you're not willing to do a little itsy-bitsy kind of homework, you are not going to live in the new world. They're going to put you in the knackers too. By the way, don't think that that's just so far-fetched. After a while, my mother wrote me a letter when she was 60 or something, and she said, do not put me on an ice floe. And when you decided to get rid of your mother, do not put her on an ice floe in Antarctica. It was nice to know she had an opinion on the matter. I didn't know that she cared. So, folks, if you think it couldn't happen to you, think again. We are all obsolescent, or obsolescence is waiting to happen. Ooh, it's scary. This program is really scary. Every day I try to make it a point to scare Sharon O'Shots to death. Because it was something that could be true, but we don't know it. It's such a fun to be a CEO. Oh, yes. We want to speak to Nana. We want to speak to Dusika. We have things for you. Anybody want to say anything and post any things? Now, Richard, here's how we do it. Oh, my God, the Sharon O'Shots of whom I spoke is here in this room. Sharon, do it oftentimes. And I say this with no modesty, no humility. Haven't I heard you witless when you were eating a donut, trying to catch up on the day's events? Have I not scared you within an inch of your life? Yes. Am I not good at it? Have I not caused you to spit up coffee on your keyboard, kick your dog, and all sorts of other antisocial? Be proud of it. Is it not so, Sharon O'Shots? Tell the truth. We have Jose Nicolau. And can we get another one out of the way? Have I not made women and men of all ages cry, sob all over the world, and taken joy in it? Is that true? These people come to here and you're an arrogant bastard, Lant, you're a terrible person. I said, we've known this for 68 years. Can you please come up with something new and exciting? Well, you love me anyway. Alright, so here's what the thing is. We're going to bring up Patrice for a few last words. Then we're going to bring you back to terminate today's program. We're going to bring up Patrice for some well-deserved kudos for that lady from Saskatchewan. And then Richard will come up after he's finished. And we'll finish today. That's what we'll do.
You need me to turn the microphone over to her?
Okay. I do. That's what I said. Well, Patrice, here you are. Here you and I are again. After another exciting edition of The Future.
Yes, I love it. That's excellent. And the future visionaries here of where Worldprofit is heading. And I'm very happy to be coming along and into the journey for the tilt to the east. It's very exciting, and I love hearing of all your visions there and where we're taking us, and a wonderful opportunity. And if anybody wants to catch the replay of this program, an excellent program it was, it'll be up on our new Worldprofit tube at www.worldprofittube.com, and also on the YouTube channel Patrice Porter. And if you want to check out my home business that I've set up with Worldprofit, that's at www.20waystoprofit.com. And I also help to teach people to create abundance by gardening. And that's at www.gardeningforfoodsecurity.com. I'll have to tone up on gardening in Asian countries. I'm into the Asian vegetables. Okay, so again, that's the YouTube channel.
Don't even think you're going down here. Oh no, you're not escaping. You're not escaping yet. What I've laid out for you today is something that will be achieved with understanding, empathy, work, and insight. It is not just going to happen one day. It's going to be the release is going to be there in all the knowledge and wonder. We are the builders of the next great stage of Western civilization, merged to the greatest possible degree with Eastern civilization. We're the people that are making this happen. And so just when we thought we were going to sit back with our Social Security check and our legs in the air and smoking our Cubano cigars, guess what? That was a foolish idea in the first place. The agenda for what we must know and do and produce, and the people we must know and the places we must go, that is only begun. And I'm thrilled that I would live long enough to be part of this, and I'm so honorary. I'm going to live a long time. I want to see how it plays out. And I wanted to say this about Patrice. Patrice is one of the people we liberated. She lived in a forest. With all respect, I'm scared of trees. The only trees that I want are made into tables.
In an isolated community, and actually, I feel it's actually a position.
No longer.
A position of privilege that we have got this opportunity to bring this opportunity for folks to build businesses and earn livings through the net here, be able to bring it to the Eastern countries. It's a position of privilege, and again, I'm happy to be along on this.
Power and money and fulfillment, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let me say one of my little aphorisms. Politicians are people who try to help you seize the past. Statesmen are people who help you seize the future. I'm a statesman. I see the big picture. And it always slays me when someone comes in and says, I never heard of you. Did Jesus have days like this? Did Mahatma Gandhi? Did Martin Luther King?
Well, you're out on another one more program with your message out, and excellent program. Thank you very much, Dr. Lant, and we'll see you on the next Anything Goes, 1 p.m. Eastern. Bye for now.
Now, Richard Moyer comes up for the grand finale.
Please, I need to prepare.
That's the point. Your life is preparation. It's what you do. It's not what did you prepare it. I don't have to come in here with notes because this is the stuff that I've been working on for 68 years. I've been working on problems. I've seen it. And there's one little story I'm going to tell, which will not believe it. But you can find this story in JeffreyLandArticles.com. And it was at the day Benjamin, the butcher of Tennyman Square, came and landed the grass of my building, my front yard. I walked out one day to have a walk, and as I do all the time, and I was walking along the bicycle path, which is the safest path in the whole church, and I became aware that there was a black limousine trying to pass me on the bicycle path. Unheard of. No cars are on the bicycle path. I immediately rose to my full Cambridge rights-oriented personality, and the car stopped on my grass. And I knew right away, I could tell from it was a diplomatic car because it had a flag of the Republic of China, and inside was the butcher, Tiananmen, and I walked over to him, I waved, and these were the three people involved in this incident. The driver, the most powerful man in the world, and a man who was ticked off because he was ruining my walk along the park. And I wrote a story about this, and it was a freakiest experience because Tilt to the East, Benjamin had come to Cambridge to build bridges he had successfully destroyed by killing so many people in Tiananmen Square. He came to Cambridge to let the progressive part of the U.S. of A understand why he did it and what he was doing and to make China better place and all the rest of it. Well, the reason why he was sitting on my grass was because the police were quelling a demonstration that had become violent in Memorial Hall, where he was asked to speak. And he was sitting there. Now picture the scene. 2 blocks from where we were, there was fires and screams and police and state troopers. And the man is sitting on my grass, and I'm waving at him, he's waving at me. And I thought to myself, oh my God, there's got to be some FBI agency around here. Where is the CIA? Where is the Secret Service? Where's his Secret Service? We've got one driver, one powerful person, and me. That was it. The three people say, how did this happen to me? Because Benjamin's spirit knew to fight me out. He knew that I was as visionary as he was. And in my article, I talked about the fact that for the rest of my life, I've said, my father said, what could you have done? You did what you should have done. If you tapped on the window, they would have shot you. Somewhere in that picture, there was some Secret Service agency. Somewhere there was some FBI. Because he waved at me, I waved at him. And the next day I read his address in the paper and it said, to build bridges. And I thought, my God, he came to me to build the bridge. And I didn't have enough force to tap on the window because I was afraid I'd be killed, to be perfectly honest. You go around with it. So read the article. You get a great view about the world, my worldview. And Richard, you have a few minutes here, very few minutes, to wrap up your thoughts today. What do you want these people to know that you told them today?
Well, I'd like them to know that this is about the most genuine proposal you're going to see. It's going to teach you what you need to know to be successful. And just don't go for all the hype, and don't be scared away here either. We're here to help, believe it or not. But we want you to just consider what we're saying because it does work.
Now we have a special message for Dusika, for Ray Haddix, for Carol King. Do you come every day? Have you nothing to do, dear? Have you no hobbies, no friends, no dogs, no immigrants yearning to be free to take care of? And we have the 121 people now that jump into the program, as it always does. Look, people, I'm telling you point blank. For one thing, what do you think a visionary like me costs on the open market? A lot. So you couldn't afford your own personal business, so you get to share me with other people who all get a piece of the action. How much do you think it would cost to hire a coach? I know, an extraordinary amount. In this company, he shares himself for the good of all. One of the most extraordinary stupidities of the people that come in here, Dusika, Ray, remember, guilty until proven innocent, is that they say they know how to do these things. They don't know how to do these things. Folks, you don't know how to do these things. You can't imagine what Kosh knows, even I. And I say this story all self-effacement. One day, George was trying to explain one of his many projects to me. And I looked at the clock, and I lasted for about 90 seconds. For the first 90 seconds, George and I were on the same wavelength. After that, he was on outer space, and I was like, what? What's going on around here? What was he talking about? These are people who are smart. They are talented, and they work for you, and you don't pay them. People, get serious. Richard has been in technology and all sorts of related fields. They cost money, don't they, the top people? Lots of money. But, so here's the deal today. This is for Dusika and Mohammed and Ray and Terry and Carol Kinder. We're offering the next monitor who's up will read you the offer. And And you're going to get, among many other things, the Amazon store with 50,000 products. This is a offer. This offer is good for now. It's going to be good for each of you for 7 minutes. The next monitor will present the offer. As always, will lead off, will follow us elegantly. No lapses, no cheese doodles, just perfection. And we'll make the offer. So stay tuned, folks. If you've turned down the offer, you have turned down success on the net, and I don't care what you say. That's the God's honest truth. This has been your ever affable but freezing to the Nichols CEO and co-founder, Dr. Lant, speaking to you from his house he loves, Cambridge, Massachusetts, now enveloped in cold and winter weather. And I'm very pleased to have you way up for his first Anything Goes. Who did you think? Which you did very well because of my goal. It's supposed to trip him up and have him fall down the stairs and just pretend false innocence. But he was lovely. Everyone was terrific. No things. And this program momentarily will be circulating the earth. And a good thing, too. We'll be back tomorrow with more Anything Goes. You'll see me up here on the screen a bit later. Follow the directions. And thank God on your hands and knees every day for George Kosh and Cindy Hunter. They deserve your enthusiastic support and emulation. Look it up in your funky wagon if you don't know what that means.